10, 79 degrees for the high. Thank you all so much for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $ Big Angie, 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcome during the live, very brief live. This is an update pertaining to Carlee Russell, African-American female that exacted a hoax of being kidnapped after seeing a boy child on the highway, toddler. It was all a hoax. I've not ever heard that anybody else was involved in this hoax, but she has received a sentence of 1 year in jail and $18,000 to be paid in restitution. I agree with the amount for the payment of restitution, but I still believe she should have got more time in jail, because I believe that a lot of times crimes pertaining to females, the females do not get a harsher sentence such as a male would have received. And it is time that women as well receive harsher punishments. And we've learned with people who lie with fake calls to police, calling the police for fake assaults and said crimes, they need to go to jail, because you can ruin a person's reputation by lying on them to say that they hurt you, harmed you, stole something from you. They have to go to jail. God forbid they come up with bail money, bond money. You know, do they get that back? I don't think they do. And in this case, she lied on herself and made believe people that did not exist. A toddler didn't exist. The male kidnapper didn't exist, and a female cohort didn't exist. 3 imaginary people. And I'm sure the judge made a decision for the 1 year in jail from her searches of how to steal money from a register. The movie Taken, said Google searches led to this decision. I do believe she should have gotten more time, more than 1 year, because the sad part is that somebody has been kidnapped before. Somebody has died from being kidnapped. Somebody has been abducted. Somebody has fortunately escaped their abductors. And what she did in this crime was a travesty to all of those events, those living and those deceased, wasting resources from law enforcement, because they have a job to do. And their job is to serve and protect. And she violated that trust. She violated trust from the people, from law enforcement. And as many people have said in comments below videos and articles, many women will possibly be afraid to ever call if they're in danger or freed from an abductors, that no one would believe them. And depending on their nationality, their background, they may feel like, well, I'm not the type, or certain people are going to think a certain thing about me or my past, because all those things come into play when you file a report about anything. If you have a criminal record, you have run-ins with the law, you've been accused for certain crimes, you've actually been to court, pled innocent or guilty to certain crimes, found guilty of certain crimes, allegations. All that can come into play just from you dialing 911. Your name in the database, your phone number, address, how many times you've called law enforcement for any said situation. This is a little girl who cried wolf. And it's a sad, sad tale of a sick person. As I was speaking to my relative today about this information of her getting 1 year in jail and $18,000 of restitution, I said she had no reason to call the police. No reason whatsoever. She thinks she's the only one that has problems. men problems, if we're to believe that this is about a man, a boyfriend issue. Well, guess what? I'm 52 and have men issues, okay? But because I'm having a bad day, because somebody don't like me, I don't go call 911 to get attention. So if she's crying and hollering at 20-something years of age, she's got a long road ahead of her of disappointment, betrayal. If we're to believe it was a boyfriend issue that led her to exact this hoax. The fact that she's going to have a problem working anywhere after being released from jail. She never gave this any thought. What am I going to do for employment? Who's going to hire me? Of course, nowadays you can work from home in various positions, but you still have to use your government name. Unless she's going to use a fake name. Still going to have the same social security number. And eventually somebody will find out, because that's the world that we live in. You're going to want to have to date, meet and greet, but that probably won't mean nothing either, because many men, they don't really care about what a woman's done in her past. And we've seen this so many times with true crime, women who have been accused of heinous crimes, abuse of children, neglect of children, murder of children, and some guy will go ahead and talk to her anyway, knowing the background. Same with women liking men. It's all the same. I think a lot of men are attracted to women like Carlee Russell. She's a challenge. Some like them feisty. Some like them downtrodden. Drug addicts, alcoholics. It takes all kinds. All kinds of people attract all kinds of people. She won't be any different. And that's what you'll hear probably down the road. Once she's released, somebody will be trying to trail her to see what she's doing, what she's up to. And you'll find out that she's doing just fine. Got a boyfriend. Possibly even had a baby. And you'll ask yourself, what type of man would want a female like this? Another thing I said to my family member is that if you have someone lying to this magnitude in their early 20s, she's probably lied her entire life. And I jogged my memory back to someone I went to high school with, and I've told this story before, of a male that I went to high school with that lied profusely, just a pathological lie for no damn reason. And my family member said, he's probably still lying. And I said, yeah, he probably is. Because that would be a hard trait to stop. Because lying comes from somewhere. And usually it comes from an identity issue. Insecurity. The person isn't secure with himself or herself. They don't like themselves. They don't like their life. They don't like something about their life. They're unhappy. Because there's more energy in lying. Because you got to be able to cover the lie if you don't want to get caught in the lie. And one thing we've learned about liars, they can't keep up with the lies. And they're going to have to spin a new lie to cover the last lie. And hopefully for her sake, she'll stop lying. Because who wants to be with a liar? You don't have anything with a liar. Because you don't know who you're talking to. You don't know what is the truth. And if a person will lie about the most mundane of things, such as what they did today, they'll lie about something big, such as following a toddler on a highway, trailing in behind a child and being abducted by a male with orange hair. How you start is usually how you finish. You don't have to be this liar. It's all a choice. Can she change? It will be up to her. But she would be somebody I don't think I would trust. Because as I said, you don't wake up telling these type of tall tales. This comes from somewhere deep. This is very deep. And this is a sign of a very troubled individual. And 9 times out of 10, she has been troubled for a very long time. Her parents possibly knew that she was troubled, had issues with her, may not have been known to other people, outsiders, but she's been a problem, because I can't see that she was known as a great kid, great student, great friend, and then one day woke up and said, I'm going to pretend I was abducted. And there were no signs. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining me. That's my quick update. I always said, you know, you can just tell a lot about people by listening to them. Something my father taught me is that sometimes it's best to listen and don't say anything. You can learn a lot by listening. That's one thing my father always told me. Don't say anything. And I think many people have possibly listened to Carlee Russell and realized she was a liar, or some sugarcoated it and said, oh, there's something a little bit off with her. No, it wasn't nothing off with her. She's just a liar. And as I said, what can you have with a liar? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just a waste of flesh. But once again, if she wants to change, be a different person, she can. She believes in God, puts her trust in God, He can turn it around for her. Now, as far as other people trusting her, that's an entirely different situation. Will her parents trust her? Family? Friends? People who were close to her? I don't know. And that would be a terrible thing, to think you know somebody, but you really don't. But isn't that the truth in most matters? You really don't know anybody. We all have ill thoughts, ill wishes, insecurities, anxieties, fears. It's just a matter of what we do with them. Where is the boyfriend? Where is he now? Does he have contact? I do believe he reveled in this nonsense. Someone asked him to go to Atlanta to be on some type of dating program to find a new girl, which I thought was in poor taste. Because 1 month later, why would he want to be on a reality show or some type of show to find a date? I would have kindly declined. Because that, to me, shows you don't take this situation serious about what she has done. And then we'd have to wonder, what was your role, if you had a role in this nonsense? So far, law enforcement hasn't brought a cohort or any other co-conspirators in this lie. I do believe she said it was all her doing. Nobody else was involved. But that would also be a shame if somebody else went along with this ruse. And nobody should benefit from this ruse, such as joining a date show, reality show. Why would you want to do that? Because as I said, that shows you're not taking the situation serious. Because there are missing people out here every day, and some are never found. And that's what everybody in the storyline needs to understand, especially Miss Carlee Russell. Just imagine you had gone out there, Carlee Russell, exacting this faux crime and got your ass kidnapped for real. Imagine that. Imagine you were intending to show up one day with just a few little scratches on you, but that never happened. That you actually had to fight for your life from an abductor, and they exacted sinister deeds to you, and you ended up dead. And you would have had time to think about all of that while fighting off your perpetrator or perpetrators, that I was out here trying to exact this very hoax that is actually happening to me. There's an old saying, be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. And for your sake, that when you're released from prison, you don't have that problem. That one day in the dark of the night, while you're out gallivanting around the city, thinking your past is your past, nobody's thinking about that horrible thing you did, that you meet your fate of a lone abductor looking for somebody to play funny games with. Just pray that you don't end up in that same situation. Because it was a travesty and disrespect to those who have gone missing, abducted, survived, not survived, and those still missing. I want to thank you all for your time. I'll be back a little bit later. I'm going to play Aisha Taylor's statement to the court in the Henry Dinkins saga. As most of you know, he's received life in prison for the murder of Breasia Terrell. And I'm going to play you the audio from court of her mother speaking to Mr. Dinkins. I watched it briefly, and if I didn't know better, I thought he possibly was wiping his eyes as if he was crying, which we already know those are faux tears, and he has no remorse for murdering that girl child. If he actually cried, he cried because he was caught, and he knows he'll never see the light of day outside ever again as a free man. That'll be a little bit later. I will also bring you some news updates pertaining to Vladimir Putin. They say he's very ill. Imagine that. See, you can't go out here and do wrong to people, mistreat people, and think it's not going to come back on you. A tyrant, a ruler, mistreating his own people to only be dying, wreaking havoc on other neighboring cities, killing thousands of innocent people to only be dying. Imagine that. God is good, is he not? Some may say that's a cruel thing to say, but God has a reason for the season, and maybe he's decided that this man won't have a long reign in Russia, and possibly somebody else will take his place, and praying that this person will be a better human being than Mr. Putin has been. That's my message today. Be very careful how you treat people, because one day you may be on the receiving end and you may not like what you get. Life is short. Take advantage of living and breathing. Make every attempt to try to treat people accordingly, and so that you will not be on the receiving end of a very bad situation. Once again, if you'd like to donate to this great network, $BigAngie 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are welcome during the live stream. Carlee Russell has been sentenced to 1 year in jail. $18,000 in restitution is to be paid. That's my update, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. You all have a wonderful day. God is so good. This is a beautiful day in a high 10. Please check my community board for my polls, my updates. Today I shared some finds I got free today. The throat that's in the pictures is something I got about a week or so ago, but the two tables I got today free. So check out that information on my community page. Like, share, subscribe. Drop your comments below this video. Drop your comments on the community page, on the pictures, and the said information. And I will be back a little bit later. We're going to chop up some information pertaining to Henry Dinkins. He has received life in prison for the murder of Breasia Terrell. God is good. Thank you all so much. You've listened to the Vault XL. Y'all have a wonderful day.